Terus je. Mana Arif?
Okay. Hamka fights for liberation in its work, especially its creative work. Liberation in the work of Hamka can be divided into three dimensions, namely liberation of faith, liberation of thought, and liberation of social. Liberation of faith is an effort to purify monotheism with the intention of freeing individuals and ummah from obedience to other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Liberation of thought is divided into three, namely liberation from taklid buta, liberation from lust, yakni hawa nafsu, and liberation from material hunger. Social liberation is also divided into three, namely the enforcement of justice, which means liberation from cruelty, liberation from Minangkabau culture, and defense the minority, which also means liberation from oppression.
Sekejap. Nanti faham apa Anu Arif?
Ya, Prof.
Nanti faham apa yang tadi tu?
Yang saya faham, Prof.
Yang ni apa dia yang tak faham? Liberation apa dia?
Ya, Prof. Sekejap.
Ada dekat skrin tu.
Dia memperjuangkan kebebasan, Prof.
Apa kebebasan apa?
Kebebasan, contoh kebebasan dari segi tauhid, maksudnya taat kepada Allah, taat kepada Allah sahaja, bukan taat kepada orang lain. Kemudian kebebasan daripada kita bertaklid buta, maksudnya daripada ikut secara membuta tuli, kemudian daripada hawa nafsu dan juga yang bersifat material. Lepas tu ada kebebasan daripada kekejaman ataupun culture Minangkabau, maksudnya benda-benda yang khurafat dan dia macam itulah, Prof.
Okey, boleh terus.
Contribution and legacy of Hamka in writing. Scientific work, yakni karya ilmiah. Hamka scientific work are his books and papers that are academic and loaded with knowledge that is a guide in life. Example of his books such as Falsafah Hidup, Lembaga Budi, Kenang-kenanganku di Malaysia, Pandangan Hidup Muslim, Kenang-kenangan Hidup dan dari Pembendaharaan Lama. From Kitab Tafsir. Kitab Tafsir Al-Azhar is a book of tafsir written by Hamka when he was inside prison. Combination of classic and modern tafsir books, and the speciality is that it is the largest Malay language commentary. Next is creative work, karya kreatif. Hamka's creative work divided into two genres, novels and short stories. The most popular books are Tenggelamnya Kapal Van der Beek 1938 and Di Bawah Lindungan Kaabah 1938 and more. Next is contribution and legacy of Hamka in politics and administration. Hamka became a religious teacher at Perkebunan Tebing Tinggi, Medan in 1927. In 1929, he served as a religious teacher in Padang Panjang. Hamka is also experienced to be lecturers at the Islamic University of Jakarta and Muhammadiyah University, Padang Panjang on 1957 until 1958. Hamka also has the experience of working as a rector at an Islamic University, Jakarta, and professor at Mustafa University, Jakarta. He also served as a high religious officer in 1951 until 1960 on the appointment of the Indonesian Minister of Religion. However, he parked positions when forced to make a choice between positions or involvement in Masyumi, iaitu Indonesian Muslim Shura Council. Hamka continues its dawah and tarbiyah work with all its efforts. In 1975, he accepted the position of head of the Indonesian Ulama Council from 1975 to 1981. Hamka resigned the post in May 1981 because of its firm's support fatwa prohibiting Muslims from celebrating Christmas in the church. Contribution and legacy of Hamka in the Islamic movement. Through the Muhammadiyah movement, Hamka perpetuating the ideals and struggles of his da'wah. Among the main efforts of Muhammadiyah provide alternative education center on Islam to the people, especially children and the younger generation. Despite being exposed to various forms of Islamic movement, Hamka is more committed to Muhammadiyah, which is a large and influential citizenship movement in Indonesia. Through this Muhammadiyah movement, Hamka immortalized the struggle of his life as a preacher by using various vehicles such as talks, class, and writing. He is also involved in Masyumi, which is an abbreviation for Majlis Syura Muslimin Indonesia. In relation to the government, Hamka was once appointed as head of the Indonesian Ulama Council from 1975 to May 1981. Next is contribution and legacy of Hamka in education. Among the historical works written, he is the Sejarah Umat Islam, Sejarah Islam di Sumatera, and dari Perbendaharaan Lama. Hamka's emphasis on life experience as an element in education, spiritual and more education, educational goals for personal formation and children's education. There are religious aspects in Hamka's work related to divine favors and spiritual psychology. 5 categories of divine favors presented by Hamka is the happiness of the hereafter, moral virtues, bodily virtues, virtuous environment, and tawfiq, as well as the guidance of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Al-Azhar Mosque has been utilized by Hamka since 1952 in its effort to spread the da'wah. This mosque, which is located in front of his house in Jakarta, was used as a center for da'wah and religious talks until the end of his life. He became the great imam who not only led the prayers, but also provided Islamic education, such as through down lectures and Friday sermons. That's all from us. Thank you, Prof.
Okay, so welcome both of you. So Alhamdulillah, I think this is the last assignment for us to look at, especially on Hamka. So I'm not so sure you didn't mention about our honorary to Hamka. Jumpa tak? Noare jumpa. Nurul Izzah, do you know honorary doctorate awarded by UKM to him?
Sorry, bro.
Honorary doctorate awarded by UKM to Hamka. Faham ke tak? Ijazah kehormat, doktor kehormat.
Oh, tahu.
Tahu.
Ada baca.
So you said that's very significant. Our recognition to Hamka because the impact of Hamka thought is not just confined to Indonesia, but widely accepted in Malaysia. So that's why UKM awarded him based on his work, especially on the literature. So, saya nak tanya sikit, siapa yang pernah baca buku Hamka ni? Seorang pun tak mengaku. Ada siapa? Ada?
Saya pernah tengok movie tenggelam kapal Van lah.
Okey, saya tanya baca buku. Movie tak apalah, tengok. Tak pernah baca buku?
Pernah baca. Pernah baca tapi tak
Tafsir-
pernah khatam, Prof.
Tafsir Azhar tak pernah baca? Tafsir Al-Azhar. You tahu tak apa tafsir bir-ra'yi? Tafsir Al-Azhar considered as tafsir bir-ra'yi. Siapa pernah baca? Anissa baca?
Tak pernah, Prof.
Ya. Yeah. So ada banyak masa lagi kat universiti. Ada seorang kawan saya ni, dia memang anytime dia jumpa karya Hamka ni, dia mesti beli dan baca. So you know why? In early 20th century, around 1930-an, 40-an, actually Indonesian language and bahasa Melayu actually very close. So that's why I asked you about tafsir Hamka. So if you have the opportunity, you can read tafsir Hamka, available in I think our library, and also I'm not so sure about online, but I think in library we do have. So the Indonesian language and Malaysian language actually in early and middle of 20th century, more or less same, but very unfortunate today, if you are able to read newspaper, for example, from Indonesia, maybe you just understand about half, 50% or less, because they use a lot of abbreviation, so we normally don't understand the meaning. So I hope you have a time to read and see how very influential Hamka towards da'wah, and also towards the development of Muslim society, especially in Southeast Asia. So I pass to your friend if you have something to discuss on Hamka. Ada ke tak ada? Ada persoalan apa-apa? Okey. Sila. Siapa ada soalan ke Anwar Arif dan apa nama Nurul Izzah? Tak ada? Okey.
Tak ada, Prof.
Tak ada. So kalau tak ada, stop dekat situ. And then I will continue with last slide from me on apa ni, Ahmad Deedat. So I hope you already have some information on Ahmad Deedat. Let me check the slide. So very brief on Ahmad Deedat. I was in Durban in South Africa, I think 6 years ago, and I managed to visit his center, and very interesting to see his center actually opposite which the church, just I think a few yards. Then you can see his center. That's why interfaith dialogue very, I think, intensive in South Africa. So let me check first where is the slide. I think I sent before. So let me upload first. So this slide prepared by Dr. Suhailiza. Saya share desktop. Boleh nampak slide?
Nampak Prof.
Boleh. Nampak Prof.
Okay. So I hope you already read this slide. Very brief. Okay. What I want to mention to you on interfaith dialogue antara agama. This is the specialty of Ahmad Deedat and how he developed his expertise on interfaith dialogue. So we try to do it in our country, Malaysia, by, I think you can look at a few new convert on this, I think, approach. But nowadays, I think the background of our society, I think, very sensitive compared to the background in South Africa. So what happened to Ahmad Deedat and many others? I think I need to check with you on the concept of homeschooling. Not sure you understand or not, but let me check. What actually you understand about homeschooling? Boleh kita tanya Nur Arif, what you understand homeschooling?
Ya Prof, homeschooling
Homeschooling. What you understand?
Homeschooling, yang saya faham, belajar di rumah.
So many of our Rijal Dawah, if you look at the background, especially older generation, actually they started with homeschooling. So the issue is quite relevant today, especially when we have this pandemic, COVID-19. So if you look at Ahmad Deedat and many others, actually, they started with the approach of homeschooling. It means they learn from their close family, father and maybe uncle, and also I think surrounded by few so-called older men in their circle. So homeschooling actually is a good example of I think enhance the skill as well as the knowledge. So that's why if you look at Hamka, for example, Hamka started with homeschooling, and of course after a certain level they move to find the Tok Guru to continue their education. So today, for example, if you can share the experience of Rijal Udawa when we have a problem of attending the school, the formal school. So suppose actually we need to take the alternative of homeschooling, but of course it's quite challenging, especially when the parent not really prepared to teach their young children. So this is, I think, the issue. And maybe if the pandemic continue for a longer time, we need to look back again at the concept of homeschooling. So you understand the concept of homeschooling. So that's why many, I think, Rijal Udawa, they started with non-formal education. So of course, the basic is to study the Quran, understand, and after that they try to, I think, find the relevant knowledge for the life at that time. So what happened to Sheikh Ahmad Deedat? I think till today, if you look at the South Africa at that time, if you understand about apartheid system is the system enforced very racist by British as a colonial in South Africa. So they, I think, sideline the black people. So the status of the life of white consider higher status, and the black people become a slave for them. So this is the situation. And when I think Ahmad Deedat grown up, so he need to face this kind of challenge. So this I think very interesting to read how Ahmad Deedat actually try to study on the Christianity, and I think he well versed especially on Bible, as well as comparison between Quranic text and the Bible. So what happened to him? He, I think, enhanced his debate skill. So that's why when we talk about interface dialogue, we need to sharpen the skill, especially to know how to debate, as well as how to bring the opponent on his side. So this is the interesting, I think, concept for interface dialogue. So saya stop kat situ. I want you to understand enhancement of the skill for debate, for interface dialogue. So siapa among you yang think that you will join some of our let's say pendakwah di apa street dakwah nowadays. So hope you have this opportunity for hands-on on the debate on the street. Let me check. Anybody of you involved dalam street dakwah? Ada? Eronisa?
Not yet, Prof.
Not yet.
On the way, Prof.
On the way. Okay. Seorang pun tak pernah
Ada Prof.
Siapa?
Ada.
So can you share the experience, Anissa?
Masa tu saya join SPMM.
Okay.
WhatsApp. Saya tak tahu apa-apa lagi kan. Saya baru join. Lepas tu gerak ke malam apa yang New Year tu?
Malam apa tu?
Yang banyak bunga api tu. Okay, sambutan tahun baru dekat
Malam apa yang New Year tu? Malam tahun baru lah.
macam
Okay. So what's your experience?
masa tu kita orang kena divide, yang kena bercakap pasal kita orang kena bagi satu tagging. Tagging tu macam mengajak kepada kindness lah kan. Lepas tu kita bertegur dengan orang. Experience dia saya jumpa dengan orang muda. Lepas tu jumpa dengan orang Indian. Lepas tu jumpa dengan ada uncle tu dia pegang kamera. Tapi mana saya nak cerita experience ni?
Okay, so lagi terus tak apa.
Okay. Masa tu ramai lah orang kan malam kan. Lepas tu kita masa tu kita orang cuba untuk break the work macam mana rasa gugup lah kan. Rasa macam tapi nak try juga untuk bercakap depan orang kan. Lepas tu mula-mula kita orang pergi dekat mak yang macam ada family kan, mak-mak. Lepas tu macam sembang dengan dia, yang ni anak berapa tahun kan apa semua kan. Saya tak ingat apa tagging code yang kita orang bagi tu. Tapi tak kepada mengajak yang hard lah. Macam kita cerita experience. Tu asal mana. Lepas tu akan drag ke topik tagging tu. Lepas tu kita orang jumpa student Indian dari UM. Diorang adalah tanya pasal Islam ni kan. Islam ni macam mana. Diorang duduk tentu. So diorang ajak kita orang duduk sekali. Sembang. Tapi untuk cerita pasal Islam tu, cerita secara umum lah. Macam solat 5 waktu. Macam tu. Lepas tu ada juga kita orang target budak. Macam saya target, saya ajak kakak tu untuk target golongan muda ni kan. Macam budak-budak. Diorang belasan tahun kot bawah kita orang. Tapi diorang lari. Diorang takut kita orang cakap apa-apa macam tu. Sebab yang tu lelaki pun.
Yeah. Okay, so I just want to share the experience of Sheikh Ahmad Deedat. Under IPSI, his I think organization. So I went there, as I mentioned. He used a lot of infographic in his organization. You know, infographic macam kita punya apa nama poster. So when let's say the Christian, layman Christian came to his organization, so basically first they will start with sharing the same idea For example, when we are talking about God, so we are not starting with something that different. For example, to Christian, so you cannot first attack their belief on God. So that's why first bring the similarity. For example, as human being, we need to believe in God. So that's the similarity between religion. And after quite some time, let's say when the dialogue move on, so slowly we start searching the identity of each religion. So this is the process when Sheikh Ahmad Deedat approached the layman, but when he was challenged by the Christian scholars, for example, a lot of I think debate carried out between Ahmad Deedat and also Christian scholars. So he actually confront direct with Christian scholars, and he used I think the same I call it the same weapon. There is the bullet or the argument from Bible to defeat his opponent. So this is the process, not direct oppose your opponent, but started with something similar between you and other religion. So this is what being done by Sheikh Ahmad Deedat. So very interesting in Malaysia. I think a few of his follower, I think Sheikh Zakir Naik used the same approach, and also his student, apa nama dia tu, Wong, Chinese convert kita tu. So you need to understand the right time, whether to confront the opponent direct or indirect. So that's why in our society we need to be very careful when we approach especially the Christian and also quite I think sensitive on Hindu or Hinduism as well. So we have our own I think background, especially on the conflict of politics. So most of the time we bring the political issue inside the religion. So if you look at the Sheikh Ahmad Deedat in I think South Africa, especially in his hometown in Durban, till today I think he approached to correct the issue of akhlaq, because though they are black, we actually can differentiate between Muslim black, the Christian black, and also the atheist. What the character that differentiate between Muslim and Christian, especially among black, is on the akhlaq part. So Muslim are normally well behaved compared to the atheist black, as well as the Christian black. So this I think very remarkable. When I was there, I also can guess which one Muslim, which one non-Muslim. So that's I think the success of dakwah from Ahmad Deedat. So his main organization, as I mentioned, is IPSI, Islamic Propagation Center International, headquarters in Durban, in South Africa. So next, his book, I think, translated to many languages, including bahasa Melayu. I think you can check. Some already translated. And beside the books, many, as I mentioned, pamphlet as well as poster available at that time. And today, I think the task continued by his family as well as his, I think, friend. And very unfortunate, as I share with you in WhatsApp. Actually, his son just being killed in South Africa. So when I was there, actually, it's quite common if we read newspaper, for example. Every day you can see news about killing innocent people. Every day, almost every day. And I think the issue or the conflict is not really a serious conflict just because of robbery, just because of small fighting, people being killed. And I think it's still continue till today. So that's what happened in South Africa. Even I think in city like Durban, people still use electric fan for their house to protect from the thief. So that's the situation in South Africa. And I think towards the end, when he, I think, had the heart attack and almost powerless, he still received the visitors to his home in South Africa, and still he continue his da'wah through sign language, and his son actually translate the sign language to the visitors. So you can see how the influence of da'wah to Ahmad Deedat. So the rest, I think you can read. He was, I think, awarded King Faisal Award for his outstanding contribution towards Islam. And I think that's all, I think, from me. If you have any question, the rest I hope you can read from the slide. Ada persoalan?
Doktor,
Ya.
siapa nama anak? Oh,
Anak Deedat, saya bagi this just I received yesterday kot. Yusof Deedat.
Okay.
So anak dia kena tembak. Same thing, happened to Dr. Ismail Faruqi and his wife, as we mentioned earlier. So society dia agak barbarian dekat South Africa. Ada soalan lain?
Prof,
Ya.
tabligh tu dikira street dakwah juga ke ataupun dia kategori lain?
Okay. Tabligh, as we have discussed lah, some of you dalam group satu lagi, actually started in India tu, because to fight with apa nama amalan culture Hindu yang dibawa dalam penghayatan Muslim. So dekat India bila berlaku conversion Hindu masuk Islam because of the dakwah, especially around 1930s, 40s, started the tabligh itu actually untuk discard, untuk buang amalan Hindu dalam kehidupan orang Islam. So started with keluar tu, is mean khuruj, keluar untuk berdakwah. But as I mentioned, actually the main purpose khuruj tu is not to invite the people, but the main purpose to purify jamaah tabligh itu sendiri. Self purification kita sebut. Yes, self purification. Membersihkan diri dengan mengikuti pahaman tabligh ini, sunnah Nabi, always used by tabligh lah. But actually dia lebih luas daripada itu. Sunnah Nabi is not just khuruj. If you look at Madinah period, for example, sunnah Nabi is bigger than khuruj. It's involved also forming a system, complete system of Islam, complete teaching of Islam, from managing the state, conversion, pemelukan Islam, to the practice of Islam as a comprehensive way of life. That is the process of tabligh lah. So keluar, if you look at tabligh ni, street dakwah is a new term we use, especially when we get the experience from Muslim preacher, da'i, especially in Western country. So if we talk about dakwah di negara barat, especially di Amerika dan Europe, migration berlaku besar-besaran ke negara barat around 1960 to 1970. For example, I was in Michigan, the US. For example, Michigan ni tempat fort ni, kereta fort, ada kilang kereta fort yang besar. So around 60s and 70s, kilang ni memerlukan ramai pekerja. So sebahagian daripada Arab Muslim as well as Arab Christian from Lebanon, from surrounding area in the Middle East, started the migration 1960s, 1970s. So it's about 60-70 tahun yang lalu. So when Muslim community build up di negara barat, some continue the dakwah activities. So the main approach using we call, or we know today as a street dakwah. Kalau dekat UK we have for example Yusuf Islam or Cat Steven. So Cat Steven dia ada approach dia sendiri sebelum dia buka sekolah dia. Actually dia buka meja lipat dia dekat Oxford Street, the busiest street dekat London. And then they started distributing the pamphlet at that time. So that's we call it street dakwah. And in our country, actually, it's a new phenomenon. Just 10, 15 years ago, kita started to use, we call it street dakwah. So before that, I think we concentrate more on process of islah. Islah ni means proses meningkatkan iman dan penghayatan Islam orang Muslim. Then we forget the non-Muslim, except for Perkim. Perkim dedicated in early 1960, established by Tunku Abdul Rahman. So that's the only body that concentrate on conversion, converting non-Muslim to Muslim, to become a Muslim. So that's I think the process. Alhamdulillah, today I think based on our understanding from Sheikh Ahmad Deedat, Dr. Zakir Naik, for example, we started for interface dialogue. But as I mentioned, quite sensitive to be done openly, especially from politicians in our country. So that's why individually is okay, or a small group is okay. Hopefully we can do the straight dawah, focusing on Muslim as well as non-Muslim, yeah? Or more particularly to the non-Muslim. So as shared by Nisa, actually we need to have a skill, and as I mentioned earlier, kita kena latih to be, because skill is not a kind of knowledge yang you boleh baca, but you need to go to the ground, practice, enhance the skill, knowing how to answer back, especially regarding the issue of Tauhid. That's I think the core of Mawdu' Da'wah. Okay?
Okay, Prof.
Lagi kalau ada, I try to entertain you. So kalau tak ada, I think I want to stop. But if you still have the issue for case study, ada siapa-siapa nak tanya?
Macam saya PM doktor tadi, doktor. Saya cakap pasal nak tukar tokoh tu boleh je kan doktor kan?
Saya, that's why I arrange from the beginning, supaya tak overlap. So I have checked with few lah. Kalau dia tak overlap dengan orang lain, that's okay.
Okay.
So yang saya allow, saya dah check tadi tu okay lah.
Okay doktor.
Okay. So boleh semua boleh send before 11:59 malam besok. Okay. So kalau tak ada, sorry,
Tak ada.
tak ada. Kalau ada tak apa, saya boleh entertain. So kalau tak ada, saya rasa kita stop kat sini lah. Okay, so next week is the last. Actually, my whole conclusion. But just to remind you, actually it's not for the assessment is not about exam. Kendalian subject actually to familiarize yourself with the Rijalul Da'wah. Look at how they contribute how they started to develop their own knowledge and skill. And then the main, I think, issue is solving a problem of the ummah at that time. So that's why we need to learn from them. And of course, some figure has some controversial issue. But as a student in the academic world, we need to use our own capability to search, to find out the fact, not just as you mentioned, taklid. Taklid means just follow some opinion, especially the popular writing nowadays on social media. So I would suggest to you to use your own conscience to search, try to find as many as literature as possible before you make conclusion. That's the process. So inshallah we will discuss more next week as the last kuliah inshallah. So with that, I pray for the safety of everybody. Hopefully all of you sehat tak kena COVID. Hopefully try the best because I think pandemic the widespread masuk to the community. But I think as a young man, your antibody is still strong. Okay, wallahu alam wa billahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi. Syukran, Prof.
Waalaikumsalam
Syukran.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.